Okay, well, welcome to part one of this interview with my dad about goal setting. And my dad's had a big influence on my life and probably your life too. If you're just learning about us, well, Dad, why don't you kind of share our background? We're originally from the state of Maine. We're shooting this in Arizona. We live in Arizona. And why don't you kind of tell a little bit about our family? You can probably do a better job than I can.
Well, I first of all been married 45 years to your mom,
Yeah.
which is a goal in itself that we have accomplished. So
Sure.
I married up, Jeff. But yeah, I've been a goal-oriented person for a long time, as you know. And I started out, oh gosh, I was the type of kid growing up that didn't have a whole lot. So anything extra, I had to go out and take care of myself. And I remember that when I was in junior high school, we were living in Miami, Florida at the time, and there was a sales contest in first place. First, second, and third place actually get to go to the World's Fair. If you were in fourth place through 60th, you won a trip to New York City, Washington, D.C. But the interesting thing, while you were in New York City, yeah, you got to see the Rockettes, but you also got to go to Yankee Stadium. And I was a gigantic New York Yankee fan at that time. I have now seen the light.
But now he's a Red Sox fan.
Yeah, I've seen the light. I'm part of Red Sox Nation now. But I remember they had a contest, and I wanted to win that contest so bad, Jeff. And that was really the first time that I ever got involved with goal setting. Mm-hmm.
So what age were you?
Oh gosh, I was in junior high school, whatever that age is. So, but
Did you know they were called goals? Did you actually write them down, or
no?
You just wanted to do what you wanted to do.
I wanted to go and watch the New York Yankees so bad that I could visualize it.
You would do anything for it.
I got creative in my selling.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted it so bad I could taste it, and I went out and got it done.
Yep.
The unfortunate part is that I didn't finish 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, all the way up to 60. I finished number 1. And they didn't know what to do because I didn't want to go to the World's Fair. I wanted to go to New York. And so I turned down the trip to the Seattle's World's Fair, and I went to New York.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to do.
Who did they play?
Minnesota.
Okay.
And the Yankees won 4-2, and Mantle and Maris both had a home run, and that was in 1961. So I was 13 years old.
Wow. Now, did you go with your parents, or?
Oh no, 60 of us boarded a train in Miami. We went up to Washington, D.C., and then on to New York. So.
Okay. Now let's kind of fast forward. So you meet my mom, you get married, you have us, and one year, the story is that he asked us for our goals in writing because, every single year we gave my dad a tie, and we honestly didn't know what to give him, right? So as a kid, you just kind of, and we got him a tie quite often, and at one time you make a joke of how many ties can I own?
Yeah. Well, as a parent, your kids come to you and go, Dad, what can I get you for Christmas? And I didn't want you spending your own money. I wanted to, so I tried to do something a little more meaningful. So I said, what you could give me. And I was, at that point, I had read a book called Think and Grow Rich. I had written down some things that I wanted to accomplish. In fact, I think it was 1972 that I wrote down my original set of goals, which I actually have up on the wall over here.
Do you mind if you get those? Can you share them with the camera?
I'll grab them, sure.
And how old were you when you read the book Think and Grow? Who recommended the book Think and Grow Rich, and how old were you? Probably, do you remember?
Yeah, the person that actually recommended the book to me, I was working for a large department store. I was a buyer for a company called G. Fox and Company down in Connecticut, and my manager came to me one night and said, Jim, he says, why don't you take a break? Because we're in a retail environment. He says, just go take a break and sit down and read a book or something. Well, Jeff, I was done with college. I wasn't reading any more books.
Right.
And I said, I don't have any books. And he says, well, I've got one on goal setting that you might like. And when he said goal setting, I'm thinking Boston Bruins, goals, you know. And he hands me this book called Think and Grow Rich.
So you never heard the terminology, or the word goal before, or didn't resonate with you?
No, not at all.
All right.
So I read that book, and in the book it tells you to write down your goals, the things you want in life. And I wrote down 42 items, and these were the items that I wrote down. And they're hard to read, some of them, because it's faded so much.
Do you mind if you share? Can you share just a few of those with it? Not, you can see how far. The cool thing is you can kind of see how far someone comes. Because if you look at his goals in writing, you'd be like, wow. That's where he was at that time. And you know what? That's okay. So if you're just starting out, you're just starting out. And I want to make sure you guys know that. So, as silly as they may seem, and Jim Rohn says this all the time, he says, he keeps journals, so looking back in his journals, he can see what was important, and he just kind of laughs now, because what was important to him, earlier on, it just definitely isn't important now. And these are some of those things on your sheet.
Well, among these, Jeff, was a $100 donation to my fraternity, because I wanted to be able to give back. I see on here ping pong table, pool table, a fishing rod, his and her bikes, lawn chairs. The last three things I have on here are Eldorado, a Mercedes-Benz, and a Corvette. I don't know what I would do with 3 cars, but there are, you look back and most of them are all materialistic type goals. So, but one of the things, by reading Think and Grow Rich, it got me to write my goals down. And I actually put a figure on paper, what I wanted cash in the bank after I sold my business, because my whole intent of starting my business was someday to sell it and retire to Arizona. And what's really amazing is that the dollar amount that I put down that I wanted cash in the bank after taxes, after paying everybody in bonuses, was almost to the number. I look back now and think I should have probably asked for more.
Sure.
But so anyway, I was pretty much getting into goal setting when you guys were, as I was growing my business, you guys were growing up. And I remember you coming to me and said, Dad, what do you want for Christmas? And I didn't want another tie. Okay? So I said, why don't you write your goals down? Why don't you write down some things that you want to accomplish? And I think we picked back in those days family goals, like be nice to your mom, your dad, your brother, and your dog. And I think we threw in physical, some physical goals and athletic goals.
Because we're big into sports.
Yeah, gigantic. What teams did you want to make and things like that.
Right.
And your mom threw in academics because she felt that was important. So, and your mom was valedictorian of her high school and college class. So I married up.
That's her claim to fame. Right?
Yeah.
And you and us.
Yeah,
Sure.
absolutely. That's where we get it from.
Yeah.
So I think the best thing I did as a parent was introducing you guys to goal setting early on. And that's how we got started in this.
Very good. Well, thank you very much. This will be part 1. Part 2 will be coming up.